Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all to the panel on a very pertinent topic in cyberspace, whether AI or artificial intelligence is the smarter way and can it help us to scale up and manage the challenges of today as well as the near future. My name is Prasad Godbole. I am part of the cybersecurity practice of Deloitte. I lead the AI, ML, and RPA portfolio in the space. We'll probably take questions at the end in case if you're not able to cover your questions, feel free to ask the panelists at the end or maybe during the break time. Let me first introduce the panelists to you. We have Najm, who is a senior VP and national head at financial lines of Tata AIG Insurance. I'd like to bring in some relevant experiences of the panelists so that when they speak, probably understand the reference around the same. As part of his current portfolio, he manages some of the largest cyber and director and officers liability insurance programs in the market, including stock exchanges, manufacturing, IT, as well as other industries. We have Narendra Singh, who is the Vice President of Product and Digital Transformation, HDFC Credila. Narendra brings close to 2 decades of experience in BFSI, and his expertise includes product development. He has been instrumental in bringing AI products in the product domain of his experience. Vivek Zakarde, who is the leader of data science, data services at IKS Health. He himself is a data scientist and leads a team who builds and rolls out solutions within the organization. We have Bhagwatiprasad Dubey, who is the AVP-Chief Information Security Officer at Axis Asset Management and has more than 2 decades of experience in the space. Thanks for joining us, and I was very glad to look at the panel when I got the invite because we have a CISO on board who can talk about security. We have a technologist who has been building products. We have a business representation from a product building in the regulated space. And then we have someone who will say, okay, if nothing else, I am there to come and do a cyber insurance for you to take and mitigate your risks. So panelists, thanks for joining. I'll set a bit context. When we look at the industry today, almost all business functions are going exponential in terms of technology. Whether you talk about the digital transformations in the business process, whether you talk about doing touchless processes in the front-end operations, whether you talk about the IoTs and OTs of the world and the connected devices, the smart ops, smart infrastructure, a lot of those things, all these things are increasing the overall envelope of technology and also the exposure around the cyber risk. Now, when we look as professionals to manage our current and near future security postures, the whole topic we'd like to understand today from all of you is, can AI help us to give that exponential reach to not only meet the requirement, but also be a step ahead of the future technologies? I'll first come to Bhagwatiprasad for this question, and more from a CISO point of view. So Bhagwatiprasad, when you look at the product portfolio today in the cyberspace, when you look at the capabilities offered by these products, do you see, and to what extent you see the AI capabilities being there to be used by the organizations?
Yeah. First of all, thanking for inviting me as a panel. To address your questions, like the current situation is like you have to adopt AI and ML. You have no choice for that. If you are not adopting the AI ML for protecting your organization, like it is very hard now to defend yourself, because in our industry right now, currently we are having a ransomware as a service. We are getting cyber attackers are giving us a service. They want to attack an organization. You can take a service and you can attack somebody. So they are using AI ML and quite more stringent algorithms to attack you. So when you say that you have any option whether to go for AI/ML or not, you have no option. You have to go for AI/ML because it's a machine-based attack. So you have to have a machine-based technology to defend it. Because manual way of operation or manual way of securing an organization, it is no more like that. You are on a cloud right now. You are no more on an on-prem data center where you were protecting yourself from cables, networks, firewalls. Now you are on a cloud. So even on a cloud, if you go now, cloud service providers are also giving you AI/ML capability. Just a matter of a click, you can get a complete holistic picture of your own organization, how vulnerable you are, or what is the risk quantification you are in the market, whether you are at what pace the attacker can attack you, what all vulnerabilities you have. So like I have gone through some of the tools like breach attack simulators. as well as they currently give you highlights also where your status is based on those AI/ML only. So like before attacker attacks you, it's better you attack yourself own, and you have your own way of defense to it. So that can only be achieved if you have a machine learning algorithms or AI/ML kind of a tools adopted by you. So in a matter of fact, with the cloud, I can say it is much easy. It's a matter of a click. Within a 5 to 10 minutes, you can integrate all your assets to it, and you can have a great visibility. But when you go with the on-prem kind of a thing, it's have some time frame. So, but anyway, like if you are thinking of protecting your organization right now, AI/ML is the best way to go ahead for that.
Okay, and these technologies have been coming in last few years,
Yeah.
more for a production use. How do you see the maturity of these solutions? Maybe in form of they are coming as a plug and play, or is more of you have to start developing them and mature them in the organization?
Like these technologies are coming quite matured, I can say, but it's all like how matured you are enough to configure it. Because when this technology integrate with your tool, they have their own playbooks, they have their own rejects, I can say, which they capture. They capture all your logs, but at the same time, log has to say n number of things. But what parameters you have configured and how the way you are getting the outcome of it, that all depends. So if you configure this AI/ML in a right sense, if you regularly monitor it and observe it, like whether the outcomes are proper enough, and you compare them with your raw log also. So it's not like you have taken a tool and it's doing its job by its own. You have to monitor it. At the same time, you have to review it. So yeah, I've seen many times like there are n number of logs coming from the tools. You have n number of tools giving n number of logs, but you have configured only few parameters. In an application, I can say much of the applications are there on internet or live, but only few logs people capture, not the entire logs, where the attacker is already sitting there. It's always a common case we come to know from the industry, like the attacker was there in the organization from 3 to 4 years. How come it is possible from the last 3 to 4 years you didn't have the log for that? Surely there was a log, but the parameters that you have configured for your machine learning is not having that capability, or you have not configured it properly. So you have to have a look on your base. You have to have a look on your raw logs also, and not completely depend on the AI/ML also. So that kind of a maturity has to be bring up in the organization, that you have to always cross-check.
So do you believe a CISO organization now should have data scientist as part of their teams?
Sure, it's required. Like,
Okay. My next question is to Najm. Coming from an insurance perspective, and specifically cyber insurance, you must be seeing a lot of these things happening around. You have a view across industries. The most relevant and the most pertinent questions being answered by the industry. How do you see people responding? How do you see what kind of incidents are coming in? How is industry responding?
So for us, it is very dynamic as compared to all other liability product in which we deal. Cyber is one of the most dynamic and challenging product as an underwriter to review and write the risk, because ultimately I am putting my company's balance sheet in those risks. So for us, selection of risk, what we have identified in last 8 years, so 2014 we launched this product in India, and till now, the change in terms of industry, in terms of the kind of attacks, in terms of the kind of loss which the insurers have seen, is changing very fast. And that's why like the underwriters also have to be very careful, look at the global trend, speaking to people like you, understand what is going on in various industries. Now coming back to the exposure, what we see as an experience, almost around 70 to 75% loss which we see, ransomware remains the root cause. Coming back to industries, like as I said, initially when we launched, we thought it will be only for banks or IT companies. But today, like we see more and more claim coming from manufacturing. And of course, very obvious reason, because when you look at manufacturing, from the psychology and globally, like they look at safety rather than security. So when you go to a factory, they will probably like ask you to wear helmet, wear gloves. So they're very concerned about safety, but they never thought that security could be a concern for them. And that's why when you look at all the technologies which they use, they are more and more safety driven, not the security driven. So that's why they have become, suddenly after pandemic and during the pandemic, in fact, they have become target. And most number of manufacturing, pharma, these companies have got attacked rather than the financial institution or IT, which is an obvious target. So that's another perspective of it. Now coming back to the kind of losses, initially what we used to experience is the forensics cost. Various companies getting compromised, data breaches leading to forensics. So wherein like you're involving those forensics firm, helping them to get back to your systems and all. Now what we have started experiencing is like a lot of ransomware demand. Again, and in India, like this is a challenging exposure because there are a lot of regulations. You have to, before like paying ransom, you have to keep in mind that whether you're paying to a sanctioned entity or not. So you will have to check that and then make the payment. So you will have to involve law firms to substantiate that because you cannot make a payment to a sanctioned entity. Then you also have a problem because in all these demands are in Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. So then you have to arrange for that. So insurers are looking at very differently and they're helping the insureds also to make all these payments wherein like these agencies, they're using these agencies without taking name, there are like ample of them, wherein like they're helping insureds to make the payment on behalf of them, and the policy is just not responding to the ransomware, but it's also paying the professional fee those agencies are charging. And the last but not the least, the business interruption laws. So recently, like what we have experienced, we were only talking about the Europe and US exposure, but now even in India, we have seen few business interruption claims getting paid. So that's another big exposure, I think, is there.
Okay, so with your, I think your experience goes beyond large companies, it's also small, medium-sized companies also. As an insurer, what gives you more confidence or lack of it when you look at cyber portfolio, especially in Indian context when there is always a cost arbitrage which is thought between securing versus the risk you have. Do you see the need of looking at exponential technologies, bringing in more AI, ML in the space at this point of time, based on what attacks and threats you are seeing?
When it comes to cyber, it is a new product for us also. So there is no historical, when you look at all other portfolios like fire insurance, travel insurance, marine insurance, health insurance, there are data available wherein insurers are sure that, okay, if they're charging this rate, they will be able to make profit out of it. But when it comes to cyber insurance, because globally this is a new product, and that's why there's no historical data to prove like what kind of premium is sufficient for them to charge to the insured, so that if suppose, because how insurance work, like they collect from various people, like thousands of people, and they probably pay 2 or 3 people who have suffered those losses. But when it comes to cyber, as I said, there are no historical data to prove like what is the right pricing. Similarly, like the trend is so dynamic, so changing, that is another challenge. But yes, in last 8 years in India and of course in Europe, like this product is from 1997, so AIG launched. So now they have substantial details on which, like as I said, ransomware is one of our this thing that wherein we will be able to know that, okay, this is one of the exposure wherein we would like to review all the customers. If we find that yes, they are good on the ransomware posture side, we definitely would like to invest in those customers. We would like to provide the contingency capital to them in terms of extending policies to them, and subsequently insure them and provide coverage under the policy.
Thanks, Najm. Narendra, my next question is to you. You have been instrumental in deploying AI products, especially in the fraud and risk space. We see a lot of movement, at least ask and expectations around what needs to be done in fraud and risk space and how AI ML can help us go beyond human capabilities of finding things, finding needle in the haystack types. Can you help us run with the journey you had in terms of selecting a product, especially from a security and compliance perspective?
Thanks, Prasad, for inviting in the panel. And I am a bit different because you guys are all some security experts, cyber security expert, while I am coming from a background from digital transformation and the product, which is primarily a user or a partner or a collaborator along with the cyber security team. So I will give a different perspective why the cybersecurity and primarily the big data driven or AI ML driven cybersecurity solutions are the need of our, and to some of the experience that I had, how it has helped us in that. So primarily when we were building micro expression based fraud and risk solutions, basically that helps in while having a video interview. It helps in detecting and identifying the probability when any one person is lying, so that you can figure it out, the credit assessment, and for lending purpose you can use the solution. So it was completely a big data based solutions. So the good thing is normally it happens whenever there is a product team or a digital transformation team, they build the solution and the cyber or the security experts come in the last. So it looks like there is a bottleneck which has happened and my solution is not going live. So we did a different approach, because such kind of product which are new in that was completely new in the India itself, and the solution provider company was also in Singapore. So we did a different type of approach. The solution was first of its kind in India. So we involved the security expert in the start and during the product development stage itself. So the way we were customizing for ourselves. So in a longer term, when we went on the go live, since it was a long gestation period, almost it took 3 to 4 months in the POC itself, and then going live will another take 3 or 4 months. But the key benefit the product team or the digital transformation team did when we incorporated our cybersecurity aspect, initially we did some modifications on that, which came from those security expert, our CISO's perspective, which incorporated some residential proxy kind of solutions, and also to monitor the location wise, also to detect. One of the requirement was also, if we want to do analytics later on, is it possible based on some locations, can we identify which type of locations are possible to be blacklisted, where there are chances, if we are offering lending and people are coming from that particular geography, from that particular strata, I would say making a kind of cohort of those people, is there a way, can it be done? So those kind of thing was the requirement. Then our security team came up the aspect of the neural network security. So is there some nodes can be identified? So the key perspective which I want to bring from the product and digital transformation perspective is that right now cybersecurity solutions are the need of our. Secondly, currently the scale at which the data is being coming and the different type of regular attacks which you are having. I think I was going through some report. It was saying even a mid-sized company is almost having lakhs of attacks in a day. So that is a very huge number. And some people, and it is impossible for a human being to monitor regularly on those things. So there, the solution needs are there, which are AI and ML based solutions, which can help in that. I would not use AI ML, but I would use more on the big data, because I feel it is the big data which is being used more and effectively by security than those aspects can be brought. So like in our product design, these 2-3 things which were incorporated, residential proxies, neural network, that help us to further improvise this product. So I think the question, the basic discussion that we are having, first thing, yes, cyber security is definitely, it's a kind of must thing. And the second is considering the big data that we are coming, the ML based solutions or the big data analytics based solutions, I think those are the things which will help the product team or the digital transformation guys to increase, to increase the timing or go to market time, to reduce, to make the solution faster on the go to market time, increase adaptability, as well as in a future scale up your solution also.
Thanks, Narendra. So if organization is adopting AI product, it looks like the business leader who is selecting or been leading that product needs to be well aware of the security and other concerns, especially because in AI it's very difficult to do post-mortem, or not every time you have a log.
Absolutely.
To go for.
When earlier days, not early, 3-4 days become years. Before it used to be here. Now if you will go to security, lots of things will be implemented and my product development will be delayed. But now is the hour when both team as a collaboration should work, and incorporating inputs from the security aspect is the need of our. So that the product that we are building is definitely a secured, safe product, and it is prevented from those kind of attacks, because we know all bot attacks and everything is coming. So how the product itself is designed that in spite if something happens, then there are triggers and all those things can be prevented.
Thanks. Would you have a point to
Yeah,
add?
I have a point like previously it was like security persons were able to, like they were asked to just check the product security side only. Currently, I can say that people are also calling a CISO to evaluate a product and to design a product in a such a way so that they can, like previously it was like this market has a capability of purchasing this many of a product or this amount of a product. So people are focusing like we will focus this market. Right now the requirement is coming other way around, whether this market is a prudential, whether the people staying over there are doing prudential activity. So this kind of a data, as a big data analytics or a machine learning kind of a thing, is a requirement that is coming to us right now. To whether the market itself is quite like compromised one or not, whether we should invest over there or not. So even the product designing also is happening in that way, that even the like business is thinking the security perspective in that business terms also.
Yeah, so I had one follow-on question to you, Bhagwati. As a CISO, when a new product comes in your organization, do you expect that product to have enough security features inbuilt? Or you would propose that let's have a model over a model to look at what's going wrong? Because in AI, it learns. You may not always know what has happened inside the model. You only see the output, and in lakhs of transactions, it's not always possible to check what has gone wrong.
It is better that your product itself should have that capabilities, because to integrate one product with another product or have another layer of a defense will always have something in two silo. So it's always recommended when you're developing a product, make sure you capture all the security into it itself so that you have a direct visibility. That's it. That's what I will be recommending.
So that's a CISO recommendation, that ask all questions to the product vendors, then you're building it or responding afterwards.
Sad, if I can add
Yes, please,
here,
ma'am.
see, because I am product and Bhagwati is coming from CISO, I think this is a kind of era we are, where the product, it should be like that they are preempting the threats. Although the threats are, it will be continuously very dynamic environment. So the security will definitely be a layer which will be overcoming, but the product should also be designed like that, that all our APIs, and then let's suppose we are doing the coding, they are also designed like that, that these things are inbuilt in the product, which will be an enhanced, I think I would say it's an inbuilt strength in the product that will happen.
Right, that's how.
Thanks. Vivek, you've been very patiently listening. You are a technology yourself, have been building products, you know how and what happens inside. With the technologies we have today, the algorithms we have, the models we have, the skill sets and availability of data, obviously to build AI models, and I apply that to a cyberspace, and would like to get your view that if an organization wants to build something from scratch, either on an AI product to secure, or build your own solutions, or in some cases the security product come with a vanilla solution which has to be upgraded. Do we have enough infrastructure, support, people, process technology available in India, and that too in the Indian context of cost arbitrage? How do you look at that?
Hi, good afternoon all. So being a Chief Data Officer, our team is built not for the cybersecurity and cybersecurity solutions. Our aim and target is to more into the customer acquisition, data security, data quality, and data engineering part. So we have a team of a data scientists, but they are more into the build the upsell cross-sell models, or your propensity model, or how to stop the churn, or how to increase the sales. So we are not the support center, we are the cost center for the organizations. And if you ask me, it's a good idea to build a team which can build a product for the cybersecurity. That's, I don't think for a business organization it's a good idea. Because there are products available in the market where your partners are coming from 20, 26, 25, 30 years of experience, where they build this product, where they build this AI, ML, and they understand what exactly they need to build, how to build these algorithms. If any organization want to build that kind of a capability, they need to hire right kind of resources, right kind of infrastructure, which I don't think they have. And again, hiring the data scientists for these roles become a more challenge for them, because normally data science job is the most demanding and sexiest job right now in the market. People normally like, these data scientists like to do a job where they can have to be something fancy to show to the organization or your CEO or your management. Where it's come to applying this AI machine learning models to the cyber space or cyber or security purpose, that will be really not much more interesting for them. And it's better, I still suggest that we should go only for the products which have come for the more experience and they have expertise on that. Building a team inside the organization, you have to spend a lot of cost on that and not sure when you will get the ROI for that. And this is a thing where you can't compromise. You have it, you just plug and play, you have a solution where you can just plug and play and your AI ML try to give you the real-time threats, they understand the patterns, and on the basis of that you get a real-time output and you can take a necessary actions, immediate basis on that.
Thanks. Most of us have seen traditional technology being rolled out where you have SDLC life cycle, you go live, launch application, it goes live and starts working. When it comes to AI, quite a few times it happens that the stakeholders are not aware what to expect and when to expect. Right? There is a journey in AI. It probably doesn't happens exactly the way your traditional application development and rollouts used to happen. We want to throw some light on how the journey is typically for an AI product. Is it like you switch it on, goes live, and everything is working on day one?
Exactly. Whenever data scientists build any model or any algorithm for that, they need to have a coordination with the business people because normally they are not come from the domain expertise. So you have to have hands and hands with your business expertise and your SMEs, and then you come to some conclusion. You build 4 or 5 cohorts from one analytical model, and you tried and tested that, okay, which cohort is going to be successful, how the results are coming. So it's not that whenever you build a model, on the first time it will give you the accuracy of 70 or 75%. It's slowly increased because once any model, new model come into the organization, it will give you the accuracy of 75 or 76%. But when you try to improvise it, it's very tough because again, 2, 3, 4, 5% you have to take into phases. So the project map is like that. Whenever we build a model, first phase might be 75% accurate. Then in the next phase, we will give you the 5% increment on that, on the accuracy part. So of course, that's the problem. That's the problem where we have to have some timeline to showcase that, okay, when will be the product completely ready to be on the production.
And should we also have a perspective around maintaining the AI product's efficiency and accuracy?
Yeah, exactly, because business is changing dynamically, and again, new threats are coming into the system. So you have to be rebuild again and again the algorithms. You have to go through the algorithms again. You have to do the correction process on that. So this will also again take us some time.
Thanks a lot. So that gives a perspective on when you deal with the AI product, it's slightly different from what you have been seeing traditionally. And it's not plug and it starts, it has to be maintained over a period of time. I have a couple of questions, but I think looking at some time, I'll open this for questions from the audiences, if you have any for the panelists. Can I get the mic, the front desk, please?
Am I audible? Hi, good afternoon. This is Maya Prakash. I am from Adani Electricity. So, panel, can you please tell us that there are 2 threats that can be happen, right? One is that known area, another is unknown area. So, how can we address the unknown area using your AI ML? Please.
Hello. Yeah. For addressing your one is known area, that is in terms of security, if I say, the known areas are the known vulnerabilities that you have. The unknown areas are that 0 days, which you don't know. So if I go with the AML as a concept or a technology, if you purchase, so it's like it scans the deep and dark web also. It scans the other area of industry which is similar to you, which is unknown to you. And based on that, you can get unknown feeds also, you can get an impact. Like I said, the market research happens. You can know that this area, most of the people are having a cases on them for fraudulent activity. So you know, unknown thing like this area, you should not go. Similarly, it will help you in the 0-day kind of a thing. If you have a 0-day feeds coming from a legitimate source, so you can prevent yourself.
You had a question?
Okay, okay, thanks.
Can please pass on the mic on the front desk?
Yeah, hi. My name is Pawan Chavla. My question is to Najm. You talked about cyber insurance and the way the industry is evolving, the data not been there to quantify it, and the kind of premium which has been charged. I have been a victim of it as well. I paid 118% increment on the cyber insurance last year during the renewal cycle. So I would like you to put some light on the aspects which a CISO should be keeping in mind while subscribing to the cyber insurance. So what should they cover? What should they focus upon, which help them in quantifying the premium as well? Like the way I look at it is my perspective. I can tell you that like mutual fund mein aata hai na, that subject to market risk, cyber insurance mein it is your risk. You leave it, and it is up to you what you take it and then subscribe to it. What will be your take on that?
So very valid question, in fact, and considering for you also, it's a new product, new risk, and you will have to take call on looking at the finance available for that particular risk, because somebody like in the previous panel talk about what is the limit of liability probably like we should look at buying for cyber insurance. And with all the products including cyber, quantifying a limit of liability, because as I said, like we were discussing about Bhopal gas tragedy, wherein like organization may be a 1,000 crore company, but it can have a liability which is much, much bigger than the organization. And similarly for cyber also, like the kind of data which you store, maybe your size is very small, but the kind of fines, penalties, which the privacy laws will bring, it will be much higher than that. So that's one perspective. Coming back to your question specifically, like who and what we should look at, the first and important thing, look at the coverages. Of course, considering this is a high risk product, insurers are also very careful extending the cover. So they review the risk. In fact, if I look at all other products and cyber, the way the insurers have started looking at, they have their own cyber risk consulting team which is advising the underwriters that, okay, these are the exposures we look at in this particular insured. So accordingly, we decide like what is the limit of liability which we should offer in that particular product. The other thing which we look at is like different covers. So you do have business interruption cover, you do have extortion cover, you do have forensics cover. So those these covers will have sublimits. So you look at, when you get the quote, you look at those sublimits, consult your brokers, your advisors, look at for the best term, of course, like wherein like you have a much broader cover. That's one. The other thing which you look at, the other aspect, look at those insurers. So there are like many organizations which is just not limited in India. They do have subsidiaries, offices across globe. And this exposure is also just not limited in India. Probably you may have a holding company in India, but the exposure may be coming from somewhere else. And you do need support at the time of claim in those jurisdictions. So look at your insurer. Do they have capability in providing those forensic services, those ransomware consulting services, those law firms which is outside India or probably in those jurisdictions? So insurers have started looking this risk differently, and they have started providing it as a complete solution wherein it's just not indemnity which they are providing, and this is limited to few insurers. So when you're selecting an insurer, look at these aspects, that do they have these tie-ups with those forensics firms, those law firms, because this is a risk which if you keep it open, probably the risk will start becoming bigger and bigger if the risk is open. Like the data breaches happen today, and if you take 5 days to take action, it will be a much bigger loss. So you should have those, look at those insurers who have those tie-ups, not only in India, but globally, wherever you are present. So that is something which you should, then you should look at the claim paying capabilities. So who are the insurers, reinsurer backing it? Because as I said, this could be a huge loss for organization, and data suggests like losses have in tune of millions of dollars. So then you should look at the insurers, that do they have capability in handling those claims? Do they have the claims team? Those teams have the capability in handling those situations. So look at all these aspects. It's just not the premium which you should look at and then select your insurer. So selection of insurer, I think, is the key when you're actually dealing with these liability product and especially cyber insurance.
Well explained. Thank you.
Hello. I have a question for Mr. Dubey. Okay. Like you said that use of AI, ML and deep learning in cybersecurity, knowing that the facts are that they are very complex, they are very notorious to set right. So how do you take this forward to implement such type of solutions?
To answer to you, like ML is, I can say currently it is a plug and play kind of a thing in a cloud environment. And secondly, if you have a right set of a skill set. So when you have to implement AI ML, you should also have a skill set to implement it, as well as to deep dive into it. So when we go with AI ML, we always think like it's a product company who has to have a skill set to build it and give it to you, and you have a proper dashboard to it. They will do their job, but it's your job also to develop yourself, and you have to have your team with a proper skill set who can analyze if anything is misconfigured or something is not there. So I can say that product has its own capability, and you should also have to come up at that skills so that you can match and you can leverage the benefit of AI/ML. So what I have seen in the cloud, it's a matter of 5 minutes maximum. I'm saying it's a 1 minute when you click. Your entire visibility comes to live in front of your eyes.
Thanks. I think we're slightly over time. We'll take one question from the end and then probably rest you can take during the break. Thank you.
Hi, this is Sachin. I'm from Deloitte, and my question goes to Nazim again. Just to add to your point, I have one question with respect to, suppose many organizations nowadays are going for multi-tenant service provider, right? What if that multi-tenant service provider gets attacked, and that gets propagated to one of your client who's opting your insurance claim? So how, in that entire scenario, how that claim process would work? Can you just throw some light on that?
Yes, very good question again. There are various service provider which you use, probably a cloud service provider for an example. So you're using a cloud service provider. They failed, or maybe a telecom service provider providing you the bandwidth. If they failed and subsequently you failed to provide service to your third party with whom you have a contract, the third party will come and sue you. They don't know those service providers. So they will come and sue you, put a legal liability on you, and the policy will provide those compensation. So what policy pays is the defense cost and the damages for which you are legally liable. So the policy will definitely pay you those expenses. Now, after that, the insurer take the subrogation from you, and they will follow up with those third party for the losses. But if you have an insurance policy without checking that what happened, of course, like they'll check like where is the loss happened. But because you do have a policy, any legal liability which is coming on you, maybe because of a failure at third parties end, the policy will respond to those claims for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. So I think with this, we'll like to close the panel. A big thank you to the panelists on sharing their views. I hope all top of your mind questions are addressed. If not, then please make use of the break. I thank you again to the audience for being patient and asking all right questions. Thank you very much.